Welcome back, everyone. Oz here, and today I've got some r/AmITheDevil for you all. As per usual, I'll be reading the post, giving you my opinions in the comments below, and I hope you do the same. I always enjoy seeing what you all have to say, and I make sure I read almost every comment. Without further ado, let's jump right into it. r/AmITheAsshole. Am I the asshole for allowing my family to have showers at 6:30 a.m. as guests? What does that mean? I, 37 male, have stayed with my sister, 37 female, and her family over the past couple of nights, along with my wife and our two children, who are 15 and 13. We don't see them very often and asked if we could camp in their back garden so we didn't have to stay in a hotel. They don't have a big enough house for us all to stay inside. Yesterday morning, my daughter, who is 13, woke up and said she wanted to take a shower. It was 6:30 a.m. and I hadn't had the best night, so I was ready to go inside the house. Us talking also woke up my wife and son, who also said they wanted showers. We live in a big 5-bedroom detached house, and my sister owns a 3-bedroom semi-detached house, and we didn't realize how thin the walls were. We all had showers, one after another, and I heard my niece, 24 female, on the phone to her boyfriend talking about how inconsiderate we were for talking at the top of our voices first thing in the morning and having showers as guests at 6:30 a.m. on a Sunday morning. I told my wife about what I heard, who doesn't have much of a filter, and she asked my sister if there was a problem. My sister said she had been made to feel like a guest in her own home and that we had completely taken over the house with our stuff. My niece is a nurse and worked 6 days last week, so was really looking forward to lying in, but she's a light sleeper and we woke her up. I said she shouldn't have invited us if she didn't want any noise, and that we aren't used to a house with thin walls or having to share a bathroom as we all have in suites at our house. My sister rolled her eyes and called me a prick before walking off. My niece hasn't spoken to any of us since, which I think is a bit pathetic. Am I the asshole? Yes. Next post. I'm kidding. No, but seriously, you are the asshole. You're the guest in this scenario. And when a boundary was attempted to be established, it's like, hey, we have thin walls, so don't shower at 6:30 a.m. You're making us feel like we're guests in our own home. Your response was, sorry, I didn't realize you had thin walls. We all have in-suite bathrooms in our rooms back at my house. Then go back home, motherfucker. It's just that simple. But seriously, you went with a humble brag while trying to essentially excuse your behavior. Yeah, you didn't know the walls were thin and you used the bathroom early on. Your response should have been an apology like, hey, I didn't realize the walls were thin. We just wanted to shower after camping outside all night. Won't happen again. Our apologies. Instead, you villainized them for wanting peace and quiet in their own home at 6:30 a.m. on a Sunday. And then you had the gall to call your niece pathetic for being upset with you after working 6 days back to back as a nurse. Hey dude, you're the asshole. Congratulations. Originally posted to r/AmITheAsshole, would I be the asshole public? Am I the asshole for hiding my girlfriend's jewelry? I, 32 male, have been with my girlfriend, we'll call her Dawn, 30 female, for just under a year. Some helpful context. She was married at 24. Her husband died 2 years ago. Since his passing, she moved to my city, and we're now planning for me to move in with her when my lease is up in the fall. I stay there a minimum of 4 days a week currently. Dawn's late husband passed in a work-related accident. 2 others also passed and a few more were injured. From what I understand, it took her some time to heal, understandably. She met a few other people for dates before me, but I'm the only one she connected with over time. Part of her healing has been a form of downsizing. She still has photos with him online and a lot of physical photo albums, but the only major thing on display is a stuffed animal he got her, which sits on her headboard and a little display on her fireplace mantle. One of those digital photo frames of photos, a 3-fold frame with a photo from his proposal, hidden photographer, a photo from their engagement shot, and a wedding photo. The ashes, their wedding rings, and his engagement ring. She still has her engagement ring and wears it on a chain. Dawn has always loved the Harvest Moon series and had always wanted her engagement ring to incorporate a blue feather, which is what you use to propose in the game. Her late husband customized a beautiful ring with a sapphire feather on it, and his engagement ring also had one. I was mostly fine with her wearing it until I started attending work-related events with her. Her job is somewhat political and has a lot of networking events. Her friends know why the ring is important, and mine learned over time. But almost every networking event someone asks about it, and She always tells them it was the engagement ring from her late husband. It made me uneasy to hear it so often, but I was fine until I wasn't. I didn't mind people knowing she was married before, but I guess every time people asked her about it, it made me feel like I was her second choice. I asked her to stop wearing it, as seeing it and hearing about it was starting to get to me, and was a constant reminder that in her ideal life, he would still be here and she wouldn't even know me. We compromised. She would still wear it out except for events where people didn't know the story and were likely to ask. Fast forward to last week, we had an event with a blue color scheme and she had a beautiful blue dress. Normally she wears a bracelet, earrings, and a necklace, but this time she just had a bracelet and earrings, so I asked why before we left. She didn't have any other necklaces that went with the earrings, so I told her to wear the engagement one if she wanted. Sure enough, someone not only asked about the ring but continued the conversation, whereas normally the subject changes once they find out her husband passed away. The person asked what kind of ring Dawn would want if she remarried, and she said she wasn't sure. Whatever I thought suited her as long as the band was silver. I felt my stomach drop. It hurt to know her old ring had such a special meaning and was something she always wanted, but now it didn't matter to her at all. The next morning I confronted her and she told me in the newer games there's a special flower to propose and I could incorporate that, but I felt like she was appeasing me. I'm not sure what came over me, but when Dawn was in the shower that afternoon, I took the ring from the sink. She's normally very careful with it, keeping it in the box on the mantle when she isn't wearing it. And on the edge of the sink where she showers, she always keeps the plug in the sink in case the cat knocks it into the sink. The door had been open, about halfway, and the shower was foggy. I'm certain she didn't see me reach in or unplug the sink. After she dried off, she went to grab the chain and immediately freaked out. I feigned helping her look for it and told her it would probably turn up. The next day before work, she looked exhausted and told me she got up early to look for it, but she was a mess and I'm not sure she slept. We both went to work. When I got home, the place was spotless and she was crying. She came home from work sick. She does have an anxiety disorder and in retrospect, probably felt physically ill at work. She flipped the place upside down, cleaning, vacuuming, and then going through the container, and even snaking the drain. My intention was to give her the chain back that night and pretend I found it somewhere in hopes it would get her to leave the ring on the mantle, but there was no way I could pretend it was anywhere, not the way she searched. So I took it out of my wallet and fessed up. She was inconsolable and told me to go home. I tried texting and calling all week, and she told me she needed space. Last weekend, I went to a barbecue at our friends, my friends originally, and she was supposed to attend with me. She did text me that morning and told me to tell people I was sick, but they noticed my demeanor and eventually I told them the story. Results were mixed. I'd say about half our friends took her side fairly quickly. One guy did say I set a boundary, and she should have known that I didn't really mean it when I said she could wear it. You can't just give someone permission to break a boundary and then act mad at them when they do. No. And a second friend agreed, but said that it wasn't her fault someone asked about it. A third friend also agreed with the other two, but his girlfriend pointed out that I expressed that it was okay, and that if I didn't mean it, then I shouldn't have said it. Exactly. The rest of the group is kind of on the fence, saying me hiding it was going too far and that I could have lost it. The general consensus is that I should have reestablished the boundary after the event, but that hiding it was going too far. I see what they mean, but still think that I made a good point. At any point, the chain could break, be stolen on vacation, or accidentally come unclasped, etc. And that if the ring was so important, it should stay home with the others. I also want to note that I don't mind the small mantle tribute, and we discussed in the past that it can stay up when I move in. It's not the memories I don't like, it's the specific ring when she wears it. The ring didn't get lost, eaten by the cat, or damaged, and I think my point was, oh no, dude. So am I the asshole here? Regardless of if you think I'm the asshole or not, can you please recommend my ways I can fix this? I love Dawn very much and want to propose after I officially move in. She answered a text today but was very short and distant. I don't want to lose her. I don't think you have a choice in the matter. You fucked up big time, and it seems like you don't understand that either. The fact that your response when your entire friend group is like, yeah, you hiding the ring is fucked up, instead of being like, yeah, that was a fucked up thing for me to do, it's, I think I made a good point. It could have gotten lost, stolen, or damaged at any other point in time, so really, what I did wasn't a big deal. That's how that comes off. You gotta remember, that ring is a memento for a life that she will never have. It's to remember someone that was her friend, her husband, and someone who she probably very much was ready to spend her entire life with, that was cut short, and all she has to cling on to is that ring. I'm sorry, dude, but you fucked up big time, and I don't know if you can recover this because you don't seem to realize that you did fuck up as majorly as you did because you're making excuses for yourself. And what's probably going through her head right now is, wow, he was willing to hide an extremely important piece of jewelry that is a memento of my dead husband because a stranger asked me questions about it. She's going to be asking herself, what else are you willing to do when she upsets you? Like, before anything else, you need to realize that what you did was fucked up. And the moment you do, maybe then you can take the steps to actually apologize to Dawn. But truth being, I think you need to actually just find someone else, because the fact that you have so many insecurities attached to this relationship regarding the fact that you're worried that you're second fiddle, I don't think you're mature enough or mentally healthy enough to handle a relationship like this, because you proved it in this post. My stance is, until you can recognize that you're the asshole here and not coming to Reddit to ask if you're the asshole, and then making up piss poor excuses for your behavior, then you might actually have a chance to get Dawn back. But right now, if you cannot understand that what you did was fucked up, Dawn should move forward. Originally posted to r/AmITheAsshole. Am I the asshole for expecting my mom to take care of my children over my sisters? Oh shit, man. My sister, 29 female, gave birth 5 months ago and is going back to work. My mom went to her for a month when she first gave birth to help take care of her, and that month was extremely difficult on me. My mom is an LPN and just works casual in both places. For those of you wondering, because I certainly was, LPN stands for Licensed Practicing Nurse. We're 4 hours apart. So she's told me she's going to be moving to the city where my sister is to take care of her newborns until she turns 1. My mom has been looking after my children for 4 years. I got pregnant at 21 from my 28-year-old ex, and she never liked him, but never tried hard enough to prevent me from being with him. She said I wouldn't listen to her because I was still upset from the divorce between her and my dad, and didn't care what she said. I don't think she did enough to protect me, but that's something we disagree on. He ended up being abusive and cheating on me with his girlfriend now. You were an adult. It's not like you were 17. Anyways, I'm 26 female, just upset that she's leaving my 4 and 2-year-old sons for my sister's daughter. She says it's only fair because she did 4 years of babysitting for me, and it's hard to find childcare for an under-year-old. She says I'm ungrateful, and she hasn't gotten a thank you for her free childcare. I think she's doing this to punish me, and she's also doing this because my sister is paying her. Oh no! She says it's not about the money, and she'll give me some of it to help me with childcare. But childcare for 2 kids is over $2,000, and I only make $3,200 after taxes. My ex only pays $300 for his kids, and I told her it's impossible for me to make it without her. But she insists it's fair. It's not fair my sister and her husband make a lot of money and they own their home. I'm in a shitty rented apartment. I feel like she's intentionally screwing me after she didn't protect me into getting in a relationship and then pregnant by an asshole. Okay, you have a lot of resentment for your mother for your own choices, and you really should not be doing that. I know my father has a lot of guilt because he did not put his foot down firmly when it came to me being with my previous ex. He blames himself because he wasn't more harsh with me and allowed me to be an adult and make that mistake. I don't blame him for not putting his foot down with me because I was an adult, I thought I knew better, and I made some serious fucking mistakes when dating someone who did not have my best interests in mind. And my dad actively blames himself for that, and I'm sure that your mother does as well. But you need to take the responsibility for your actions in your life and make sure that you're moving forward in the right direction. Your mother has already provided an insurmountable amount of care to assist you, and you're entitled to extra care when your sister also now has a newborn and your mother wants to help out, and she's offering to split the amount that she would be getting paid with you to assist you? And do you think she's punishing you? And yeah, it's unfortunate as hell that you're not going to be able to afford the childcare, but at the same time, like, your mother has already given you 4 years of free childcare. I mean, hindsight 2020, but the moment that your sister announced her pregnancy, you should have had a conversation with your mom, or your mom should have had a conversation with you, giving you the 9 months that you would need to prepare for that. Or just simply spending the entire time preparing with the idea that your mother's not going to be able to help you forever. Thankfully, it's only 3 more years until your child enters 1st grade, and then from there, well, you kinda get free childcare. I mean, they're going to a place for free for an entire day. But stop blaming your mom for choices that you made when you were 21. I know that this is most certainly not ideal and it's a 4-hour drive, but maybe this should be something where your kids stay with your mom and your sister over the week, and you come and you get them on the weekends. If your finances are going to be that strainful and strenuous, then work with your family to find solutions on it. Originally posted to r/AmITheAsshole. Am I the asshole for telling my daughter no to something she wanted when I bought my son something he wanted? I'm a mom of 2 kids. I hope those aren't their actual names. A and M, who are both 15. M has struggled a lot the past year as he was forced to quit baseball in the middle of the season due to grades that weren't even his fault. The teacher screwed up, breaking up with his girlfriend and had money stolen from him by his grandma, who we're no contact with. Long story, but she has a lot of problems. Now he's struggling and I'm trying to get him a therapist so his mental health doesn't fall apart. A has had some rough times, but she had it pretty good this year. I decided to take M out and buy him something to make up for what happened to him. He got a baseball jersey that cost around $250 to $300 and he loves it. I'm just trying to make him happy. It's an expensive fucking jersey. A came up to me and asked me if I'd buy her a makeup palette from a small business she saw on YouTube, and when I saw it was almost $50, I told her no. She got upset and said that I bought M something that was 5 times the price of what she wants, and I said that she hasn't been going through a tough time like he has. She said how I always cater to him when he's going through a bad time, but won't do the same for her, and brought up something that happened a few years ago as an example. I told her to go to her room, and now she refuses to leave her room. Now, my husband called me an asshole and agreed with her, but M says I did nothing wrong. Of course he said that. Am I the asshole? My son, who I bought a $300 jersey for, said I did nothing wrong, but my husband says I did. Yeah, you fucked up. Like, I don't have much to say on this one because this is just blatant favoritism, and if anything, I'm actually kind of leaning towards this might just be bait, because this is so ridiculous that I have a hard time believing this would not be bait. But if it is actually real, then what are you doing? Also, I highly doubt that it was a teacher mistake that got him kicked off the baseball team. Like, seriously? I mean, that's probably what he told you, but I don't think that's the case, because before he gets kicked off the baseball team, they're probably going to evaluate what happened. And if it was a teacher mistake, I'm sure that would have been caught. But what probably is happening is he's hiding his grades from you or hiding what's going on, and then the actual repercussions of his actions caught up with him, but he's burying himself deeper in a web of lies. And you bought him a $300 jersey for it. Meanwhile, your daughter's actually doing great in life, asked for something arguably kind of simple that's going to last her for a while and is not a $300 jersey, and you said no because your life isn't hard enough right now, but your brother's is. You're kind of teaching your daughter that she should start failing her classes and purposely making her life difficult if she wants a makeup palette. It's not something you want to teach your kids, man. So this one's posted to r/the10th dentist, and after some sleuthing, this is a subreddit basically dedicated to bad opinions, so we might be taking another look at this sometime. Vacations shouldn't be a time for relaxing, but rather a test of your ability to adapt to unfamiliar stressors. Not only they contribute very little or nothing for one's self-growth as a person, but vacations mask the true purpose of traveling, which should be discovery, and to challenge one's mental and physical resilience in unpredictable settings. Rather than indulge in comfort, each trip should be treated as a survival exercise, where the objective is not to unwind, but to confront and overcome the chaos that inevitably comes with new environments. It can be a trek through a remote wilderness devoid of modern conveniences, forces one to confront primal fears and develop survival skills, or a pilgrimage to a worn-torn region to challenge the mind to process unimaginable suffering and cultivate compassion and the appreciation of human resilience. Hey man, if that's how you want to spend your vacations, that's good on you, but at the same time, some people just gotta relax, they just gotta enjoy some time. If this is how you want to spend your time off, go for it, dude. While I do enjoy some unpredictability and having to deal with kind of just the chaos that can inevitably come from a vacation, that's kind of part of the fun of it because it creates good memories. Having a perfectly planned out vacation is honestly kind of boring. But see, that's my opinion. That's how I feel about it. You feel that vacation should be a test of your ability to survive in the wilderness, apparently. Have fun being eaten by a giant fucking bug. Some people like having a perfectly planned out vacation where they know every step of the way, where everything is planned out and they don't have anything to stress about because they see exactly what's going to happen tomorrow, the next day, and the day after that. I just enjoy going by the seat of it. See, if this post was structured as the best way to have a vacation is to do this, that's one thing, and I might actually agree with you. Well, not like agree, but like understand and be compassionate about your take. But stating, vacations shouldn't be a time for relaxation, that's a pretty broad fucking statement, fam. How else am I gonna relax? Originally posted to r/parenting. How do I repair the relationship with my son? I'm losing my son due to my relationship. I'm a professor at a university. I was single mom, 44 female, for quite a while. The person I'm dating now was a student of mine. I've always kept things professional between us. We've just happened to bump into each other when he was a recent graduate. He's 1 year older than my son. My son knew I was seeing someone, but not exactly who. My son found out about the relationship in the worst possible manner. I think you know what I'm talking about. When I first introduced him to my son acted very belligerent when he first met my boyfriend. My son recognized him because they went to the same college and probably shared a class together. He started shouting expletives and started saying, "What the fuck is wrong with you?" My boyfriend left out of respect. I had a huge argument with my son. I tried to calm him down and tell him I understand he's uncomfortable with it right now. I even told him if he needs any time or accommodation, I'm more than happy to talk to him about it. He started going off how his reputation in his school would be tarnished, even though he's graduating 2 years late and all his friends have graduated. My son was cold towards me throughout the entire. He would only speak when he had to make snide remarks about me meeting my boy toy whenever I stepped out of the house. It came to a point where I had a proper sit-down conversation with him. I told him he can air out how he feels. He said he feels his boundaries have been violated and creeped out. He started asking what could I possibly see in someone close to his age. I told him how my relationship formed with my current boyfriend. After all the explaining, I begged him to please give it a chance. He begrudgingly said he would. However, his attitude didn't really change for the better. When I formally invited my boyfriend to my house, my son would barely make small talk when my boyfriend would initiate the conversation. There was something really off with my son's behavior. He started acting really needy. It was like he was competing with my boyfriend for my attention. Whenever I had to shoot down plans with him because I already made plans with my boyfriend, my son would look sad. He would say things like, "Oh, I guess he's making you more happy," or, "He's more important to you, I get it." I got tired of assuring my son that I still love him and it's a completely different relationship. He would accuse me of being dishonest and saying that on paper my boyfriend is a better individual. He would talk about how my boyfriend is graduating on time and has a better social life than him. I eventually felt bad, but I got fed up with his behavior. My boyfriend tried many times to be friendly and eventually gave up. There was an incident where my son was being rude to him by ignoring him and my boyfriend got fed up. My boyfriend told him to stop acting like a man-child and a mama's boy and respect the fact that I can date whoever I want. Before I could respond, my son said, "Just because you're banging my mom doesn't mean you get to talk to me like that. Go fuck yourself." My boyfriend walked it off. When I came back from my vacation with my boyfriend, my son's stuff was gone. I was shocked and immediately called him. He luckily picked up and said he moved to his grandma's. He said he's going to take a loan to graduate. He said he tried his best, but he couldn't handle it. My son said it's clear I moved on with my life without him, and he should do the same. My boyfriend said I should keep in contact with my son, but this might pan out well for everyone. He said the space can give him time to self-reflect on his behavior. I felt sad that my son didn't want to be around me. Yesterday I found out I'm not going to be invited to his graduation ceremony in the spring. I'm at a loss. Okay, let's start from the top. For starters, I'm hesitant to believe this is 100% real because the circumstances, well, interesting, to say the least. But giving benefit of the doubt here, let's start from the top. Yes, she is allowed to date whoever she wants. The son should not have control over that. However, the first thing I noticed was the snide comments about her son's behavior that she was making throughout this while also praising her boyfriend. She was slyly gushing about how mature her boyfriend was, like how he left out of respect during the conversation. I don't know if that was an entirely necessary piece of information to add, but it was. While meanwhile, there's almost no hesitation for her to belittle her son's lack of accomplishments or how slow he's going through uni, and she doesn't seem to hesitate to put him down while raising her boyfriend up. That does make me wonder if these kind of conversations happen outside of the Reddit post, and she's the reason why he's self-conscious about his social life, his graduating status, and all those other things. It's also clear that she has no respect for her son's boundaries. They share a living space, a conversation should have had beforehand before he caught her in the act, apparently. And again, she can do what she wants, she can date who she wants, but there will be repercussions and fallback if it's not approved by everyone in her life. She is 100% okay to continue living the life how she wants to, but there is the understanding that not everyone is going to approve, especially the person that you share a home with. And your son was uncomfortable with the fact that you were dating someone his age who literally went to college with him, and he attempted to put up with it, couldn't, and decided to leave the home and move out so you could live the life that you wanted to live. You're trying to have your cake and eat it too. Your son was uncomfortable with the situation, so he got himself out of that situation, while also giving you the ability to live the life that you wanted to because you inadvertently made it clear to your son that your boyfriend was more important. I mean, we have no way of knowing if the plans were canceled to favor plans with her boyfriend or if the son was introducing new plans and those are being shot down because you already had plans in the works. But either way, any attempt that your son made to spend time with you was shot down in favor of the boyfriend. So to him, it's, okay, she doesn't respect my boundaries, we're not spending time with each other anymore, she seems to care about him more, and it's just going to be easier for me to leave the house. So he did. And we're not even talking about the humiliating aspect of having your mom's boyfriend, who is your age and went to school with you, acting like your dad and trying to reprimand you. That's fucked up. And finally, I also want to talk about one quick little throwaway line that was briefly mentioned that raised my eyebrow. And yes, I might be reading into this just a little bit too much, but when you say, my boyfriend said I should keep in contact with my son, I am fearful that this implies the implication that you brought up the idea of going no contact with your son over this. Alright, yapping done. Feel free to put your comments down below because I'd be curious what you all think of this one, if it's very clearly a fake story or if this is something where it's just a complete headache and maybe the mom is in the right. Maybe I'm just not looking at things properly. Or, maybe my analysis was spot on and I can get some head pats. I'm kidding, don't worry. r/sad cringe. My sister's wedding was awkward because she fell for the geek social fallacies and she didn't even notice. My sister, we'll call her Kate, was the incredibly socially awkward type growing up. She had a very obnoxious and attention-seeking personality. She was definitely the arrogant type who didn't realize that people were laughing at her, not with her. As she became an adult, she made more friends, or at least people who tolerated her, but still was incredibly awkward and oblivious. When she got engaged, she wanted to have a huge wedding with basically anyone she had a connection with in the last 10 years. That's where the geek social fallacies come in. If you've ever heard of them, they're these unspoken rules some people in geeky circles tend to follow, like you can't exclude anyone from anything, or if you're friends with someone, you have to invite them to everything, even if it's not appropriate. Kate has always been all about inclusivity, so when it came time to plan her wedding, she was determined not to leave anyone out. Real quick, what the fuck are you talking about? I play D&D, alright? And I'm a pretty inclusive player, and I don't even follow by these rules. What are you talking about? It was a nightmare trying to get the guest list sorted out. Kate wanted to invite like 400 people, but only 100 people showed up. She went on about how it was going to be amazing to have all the different parts of her life together in one place. As the list grew, I started to have my doubts, but Kate blew me off. Fast forward to the wedding day, and the reality of her decision started to sink in. For everyone except Kate. The venue was packed, not just with friends and family, but with an array of people who clearly didn't belong together. The whole event had this bizarre energy, like a poorly organized convention where no one knew what they were supposed to do or be doing, or who they were supposed to be talking to. During the reception, I watched as people fumbled through forced conversations, desperately trying to find some common ground. At one point, I overheard one of her online friends from a sci-fi forum trying to explain the plot of an obscure Japanese novel to a baffled elderly relative. It was painfully awkward. To make things worse, Kate was so wrapped up in making sure she made time for every single guest that she hardly got to enjoy her own wedding. She filtered from table to table, oblivious to the fact that most people were sitting in stiff silence, unsure of how to interact with strangers they had nothing in common with. The days after the wedding were filled with stories from various guests about how awkward the whole thing had been, but Kate still didn't see it. She was convinced that her inclusive approach had been a success and that all these different groups had magically bonded over the course of a few hours. In the end, Kate's wedding was a perfect example of what happens when you try too hard to please everyone. She fell for the geek social fallacies hook, line, and sinker, and ended up with a wedding that was more awkward than joyful. But she was happy, and maybe that's what mattered most to her. As for the rest of us, we just had to grin and bear it, hoping that the next family event would be a little less eclectic. To me, it sounds like you're jealous that your sister had 400 people to invite to the wedding in the first place. Which I think was an over-exaggeration. It was probably close to maybe 200 people, perhaps 150 because of the, social connections rule where a human can only maintain like 150 connections in their life. Give or take. I don't know if that's been proven or not, but that's the rough rule of thumb. Anyways, the fact that maybe she invited 200 to 150 people and 100 people showed up, and she had a great time? I mean, yeah, weddings are going to be awkward. That's just how it is. Honestly, what the hell are you on about with the whole geek social fallacies thing? I have never heard that in my entire life. Did you pick that up from a movie or something? Honestly, it sounds like you peaked in high school and you're jealous that your sister is actually having a blossoming social life as an adult. To me, it just comes off that you're jealous of your sister and the fact that she had a pretty successful wedding by the sounds of it and really enjoyed it. And has a lot of friends and a lot of people that care for her. And there you are, her jealous sister, who probably peaked in high school. Hey, welcome to the outro. Don't forget this whole thing is basically brought to you by GamerSupps. If you like caffeine, then I can't recommend GamerSupps enough. Use code Oz at checkout to support the channel. And I do actually use this product. It's replaced all other sources of caffeine for me because I feel good. It doesn't have any of that extra stuff that a pre-workout blend might have. It's with a couple of the extra things to make it so you don't crash as hard. It's good. I like it. Personally, if you really want a good flavor, try the Soda Pressing Pear or even the Dragon Fruit Punch. Those two are my personal favorites right now.